special prospect podcast. Little feature day today here. We got the Breakfast Bowl coming up tomorrow. So Coach D has set up a great little opportunity to talk to both head coaches, Coach Ruley of Rowan and Coach Palazzo of Montclair State. So it's going to be a real exciting opportunity here. Coach really already has his ambassador of pork roll at the bottom there. So just to get the ball rolling, and Palazzo obviously has to be a Taylor Ham guy all the way. As are, by the way, both me and Coach D. I'm guessing Coach D is both being from North Jersey originally as well, even though we're down here as transplants down the shore area where everywhere I go, it says pork roll on the wall there. So, um, so the
Yeah.
first time I did see it, I was like, "What is that?" So I was confused. But I have adapted. But it's great. It's great to have you guys on. It's great that Coach D was able to set that up. You guys were talking on a pre-show. I had to interrupt Coach D because I didn't want him to take away any of the good information before we got on here because I know you guys can get rolling and chat all day long before we get on. That we'll miss out all the good stuff from you guys coming on the show. So it's great to have you guys on today to talk a little bit about both your guys' teams and the Breakfast Bowl. And before we do that, one of the great things about this Breakfast Bowl is beyond the actual, obviously, the competition part. The money goes to the Red Hawk Food Pantry at Montclair State, and that's a really, really great opportunity to fundraise for them that Red Hawk Food Pantry. It's a great, great tradition as far as competition between Rowan and Montclair State. Last year, obviously, the game was at Rowan. This year it is at Montclair State. So with that, I think we'll let the guest this year talk a little bit more about what he's looking forward to for this week's game. It's obviously a big rivalry in the NJAC. You guys both have great programs. Coach Ruley's really taken his program on the rise here, and Coach Palazzo obviously has taken over a traditional powerhouse program, Montclair State, and has continued to really build it and put his stamp on the system there in Montclair State and continue to make it into a powerhouse. So, Coach Ruley, I'll let you dive in. What are you looking forward to this week with your team?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having us on. And, I said earlier, like Mike was somebody who, we talked while I was in my interview process here, just in regard to what this could be, and he kind of already was behind the scenes having this be his brainchild even before I was hired. And, in hopes of whoever took over this program was going to be on board with kind of going full steam ahead with the Breakfast Bowl and all the great rivalry and fun pieces of it, but also more importantly, in a lot of ways, how we can serve our communities. The money that we raise at Rowan is going to what we call the shop, which is like the food pantry on campus at Rowan to help the Rowan community. And so, yeah, it's one of those things where there's this age-old debate about what that breakfast meat is called. I know I'm outnumbered here, but, at one point in time, most people in the world at one point in time thought the world was flat. So doesn't mean the majority is correct, but I really do think that it is a great cause, two great storied programs getting together, and there's no reason why this couldn't be one of those marquee small school trophy games that gets a lot of national attention year in, year out as we continue to build this thing moving forward.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is this game's on, I think it's on YouTube tomorrow, right? So, that's really cool that you guys, from a media standpoint, the games are on there, and it won't be on one of the bootleg YouTubes. It'll actually be on a regular YouTube. So for those, although I by the way go through all the bootleg YouTubes when I'm trying to find UConn where I played at because half the time I can't get them. So I'm looking through all the bootleg YouTubes and I got to watch the game that way. But it's really great to see that game will be on YouTube as well, so people can watch it. Fans from home can watch it. And it's a great rivalry. It's two of the programs that I've always been very familiar with, in New Jersey, and both have had traditions of being powerhouses at different times throughout, but obviously over long-standing time. But at different times, they've both been mega powerhouses and champions. So it's an awesome thing. Coach Palazzo, what are you looking forward to this weekend with your team?
Yeah, just looking to continue to elevate the brand. I think Pat and I both jumped on this because it's an opportunity to get more eyes on our program. And I think we're both in it for the student experience. We want to make sure our guys have really memorable experiences here. And what better way than to have a trophy and have a game that no matter what your record is, it's going to mean something every year. So I think it's been great for our program. I know our campus really bought in this year, and Rowan did a really good job last year, kind of on short notice, and did a great job with the game, and then put the pressure on our campus to make sure we're doing the same. So I think when you have that type of situation, it only helps. And, as much as we're competing on the field, rising tide lifts all boats, and we want New Jersey football to be good. I'm rooting for Pat 9 weeks out of the year. So I think anytime we could raise our standards here, that's a good thing. And I was talking before we hopped on, the president for our school is investing a little bit of money into our program right now because of this game. So I think it's a great thing for both our teams. It's a great cause, and I hope it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Do you guys expect? I don't know, because I wasn't at the game last year. Was it a big crowd for you guys last year? The first one. Do you expect a bigger crowd than maybe normal games for this game?
That's the plan. Yeah, we have a tailgate starting at 11 o'clock. It's going to be all Taylor Ham themed menu items. It's open to anybody. So Rowan fans, Montclair fans, families, alumni, everybody's allowed. So that'll be starting at 11. So we're hoping for a good crowd there. I do have a small alumni event going as well. So yeah, we're hoping for a bigger crowd. We had homecoming 2 weeks ago. We had about 5,000 here, which is a really, really good crowd. Actually, it's on the picture behind me. But we're hoping to get maybe something close to that. And we're hoping for every other year that there's another big event on campus around football besides homecoming. And that's our goal.
And both of you guys, Coach, I don't know if you want to chime in at all. But both of you guys are really, I guess this would be a pivotal game as well for you guys, right? Because we're right kind of in the smack dab in the middle of the season. Both have had some really great wins and some kind of tough. You guys last week had a tough one against Christopher Newport. Palazzo, you guys had a tough loss, a couple of tough losses that you guys are like. In the end, Jack, every week is a battle. I think that's what's the great thing about it, like the competition every week. And by the way, I had to look it up because I didn't know that Christopher Newport was in the NJAC. I didn't realize that because I think that was at one time I don't know if it still is, but at one time it was a school where guys could go that were looking to go into trades and stuff. I don't know if it's still what it is, but at one time it was. Maybe they became they became a 4-year, but they always had a really good football program when they were that. So that them being an NJAC, I remember they were a powerhouse and they were always looking to upgrade for many, many years. So I saw that, and both of you guys have like powerful, offenses that could explode. If you guys would want to talk about like kind of, and I'll start with Pat here, what you're looking for. You got a mix of young guys and veterans that are contributing. Talk about what some things you might be hoping for out of your guys for this week.
Yeah, it's really a tale of, two sides of the ball for us. We graduated 9 of 11 starters on defense a year ago. We brought back 9.5 or 10 starters on offense from last year's team. And so, I think that's kind of been reflective in a lot of our early season games where, we've had an offense that is kind of in a second year of the same offensive coordinator and continuing to gain more cohesion and familiarity, and then a defense, which I lead, that, has been trying to figure out who those 11 guys are and, playing young guys and, playing some older guys who haven't had a ton of, college experience leading into, this season. So certainly a challenge from that perspective. And I know, Mike and his staff do a great job and really just, looking to come in and hopefully play our brand of football, which is going to be, fast and physical and confident. And that's what I'm looking for out of my team. And, that's, hopefully it's going to be a great game on Saturday. Hopefully the weather, everybody's telling me the weather's going to hold up for us, and I'm crossing my fingers on that, because we had a weird one in week 1, and I'm having fever dreams about that. So I'm really trying to get into that situation ever again. And, but
I saw that. That's crazy. The game got canceled, right?
It was like an 8-hour rain delay.
Oh.
We were playing Case Western from Ohio, and they ended up calling the game. We were up 17-14, but it ended up being listed as a tie.
Wow. Okay.
And so kind of threw a wrench into the D3 landscape. But yeah,
why did they do that? Why did they? Because you didn't get to a certain point in the game, and that's why they listed it as a tie, or
so unfortunately, there's not. The NJAC doesn't have really. The NCAA doesn't have hard and fast rules around suspended games, and they really defer to like conference rules. And then our conference doesn't have any strong language about that as well. So it really falls on the game administrators and the ADs and the coaches. And so there's still a couple minutes left in the third quarter when it got suspended. And we had a plan and an agreement in place if we had taken the field again to, make an official result based on kind of a couple parameters, but we never got back out there. So it ended up being like a 7-hour rain delay that I think we ended up calling the game at about 8:30. And we wouldn't have been able to get back out until like 10:30, 11 o'clock. And they're there from Cleveland. So it was a pretty interesting set of circumstances.
Wow. That is why I had never heard of that before.
Wow.
That's the first time I've ever heard. I saw that and I was like confused a little bit about it. Coach Palazzo, you guys had a big win last week against Keene. Quarterback Heinrich is lighting it up, and you guys have really explosive offense. And a couple the games that you did lose, like they were like, tight games. Obviously the schedule that both you guys have, like, one or two bounces can change things significantly in the game because they're always so hotly contested and there's so many great rivalries in the NJAC. Talk about last week's win and what you're kind of looking to build off of for this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Pat and I are in very similar situations. We graduated a ton. We had 43 seniors last year.
Wow.
So yeah, we had a massive group. Yeah. And with that, 2 All-Americans on our defense that, we just can't replace. So, looking to build that back up. Coming off of last week's win, it was great to get the win, and we did some really great things at times. But we also, put ourselves in a 14-0 hole to start. And that's something that, if we're going to have success against these guys, they're a very well-coached team and they have a lot of talent. We can't put ourselves in a hole early. It's just you're not going to win a lot of football games that way. And unfortunately for us, like you said, it was a lot of close games, but we've been behind in every game to start. So we need to, if we're going to have an opportunity to win the game tomorrow, we got to make sure that we don't put ourselves in a hole early. And a lot of that was self-inflicted, and that comes with having guys that haven't played a ton. Last year, even like, for example, my punt team last year, I had 9 seniors. So there's only 2 guys on our punt team this year that played in games last year. So, just having that veteran presence is something that we have to continue to develop. Luke started the season, our quarterback. He had 4 interceptions against Merchant Marine. And it was just first game jitters. He hadn't started a game in 3 years since he was a junior in high school. And we had to learn as a staff what to do to get him a little bit more comfortable. I think that's what we're looking for, is we just want to make sure that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot early.
How do you, from a player standpoint, how do you change that like mind shift around from them to be able to say, hey, we got to get a fat start. We have to have ourselves in the right mind frame. We can't wait to feel it out, and then play the game, right? Is there ways that you correct that in practice? What are some of the things that you think you've done to really try and hopefully address that part?
Yeah, I think the way we practice, as a staff, we look at it and maybe there's some certain ways that we build up practice. You can't be afraid to change that. I know as coaches, we're so set in our ways, and like every practice starts with field goal or something, whatever it is. Maybe
Right,
we
right.
have to tweak that. And we've done some of those things. And I think just learning from our mistakes, putting it up on film and holding everybody accountable, including myself, and talking about what we didn't do well and try to learn from it so we don't make the same mistake again.
No, no doubt. Coach, you guys have had Coach Rulli, you guys have had some real explosion obviously in offense and defense. You talked about how obviously that's what you're running, and you're trying to get those guys up to the level that you expect them to get to. And it's been a little bit of a process, but week by week, you're starting to get there. Like, are there things that you've had to do to really keep evolving them to get them to where you want to be? If one side of the ball is doing better than the other, like how are you been able to manage that within practice for the guys?
Yeah, it's just being process oriented. Every single day, us going out there, and hopefully, I tell guys like I want new mistakes to correct, right? Like I don't want to correct the same mistakes. So the staff, we talk about continuing to build, right? And there's going to be mistakes that come up, whether they're technique mistakes or schematic mistakes, and let's clear up the confusion on those types of things and make sure we're repping the technique mistakes in Indy, so those things become more muscle memory, and then really be able to get out there and continue to execute at a higher level. I think if we stick with our pillars defensively of, playing fast and physical, I think that sometimes in inexperienced defense, as long as we, kind of can rely on our culture and lean on that, it covers up some of the inexperience. But obviously at sometimes, there's glaring mistakes. And like a week ago, we played a double overtime game. I mean, I know the final score is 48-41. They were a tremendous football team. The game's 34-34 at the end of regulation. And as a defensive guy, the more overtimes you get into, that point number is going to continue to skyrocket on you a little bit.
Right.
So, not necessarily as bad as potentially it appeared if you just check the box score, but certainly a lot of things to correct and continue to improve on. And you have to understand, like, even if you think you have young guys that are talented players and can make plays, there's really no replacing experience. So trying to figure out how to have that balance of you're playing young guys and how much can you do and how multiple can you be. I know both of our defenses like to be multiple by nature, and so you're really trying to toe that fine line between that multiplicity and making sure that your young guys who have to play for you because of the circumstances, or guys, even if they're not young, they're inexperienced, just by game reps, that they're in the right place and they're able to execute their job at a high level.
And I think that's always, I think defensively in general, that's probably the toughest thing in the modern era of football, because offenses are so diverse. Even when they're within certain type of systems, they still have lots of wrinkles to them. There's lots of diversity to them, and it places a lot of pressure on the defenses. It's a lot harder to just kind of play base, and just react to things. Whereas, because things are so multiple and there's so many matchup situations that you get guys into, which is way more difficult. I think that's one of the beauties, at least from an offensive standpoint, is because they're so creative. Defensive guys have really had to become more creative too, and how they handle and defend against those things. And I always there's the thing I enjoy most about watching when I watch football on TV or when I go to games, watching how people handle things. I was at the Monmouth game last week, and I mean that was an offensive juggernaut. Both sides, by the way, even though Monmouth won in the game, both sides, and it was interesting trying to see the defenses trying to get like a stop here, and Monmouth eventually got a couple of stops that won the game. But for a long time, it was just touchdown, 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 until they were able to somehow get slow them down there. And I think that's really, it's always a challenge for defensive coordinators. And the score does not necessarily reflect how good your defense is in all cases, because offenses are so diverse. Quarterbacks at all levels can pass. It's that's changed so much dramatically. I'm curious, and either you guys, I guess I'll start with Coach Palazzo. Recruiting wise, I would assume that this is for both of you guys. this is really a great opportunity for New Jersey recruits, PA recruits, New York City recruits to really kind of highlight both of your programs, obviously, in this situation. Do you guys look at this game as not just a rivalry game, not just a game to feature our state's top programs, but an opportunity for recruits to really get to know more about you guys?
Yeah, of course. I mean, anytime you can open your doors to recruits, and we'll have some guys up for game day, I think that's important. Again, I get back to creating the Breakfast Bowl and doing this with Rowan. I think it enhances the student experience. And if you're recruiting and you're saying to a kid, "Hey, yeah, you're going to come here, you're going to play 10 games," great. But we're going to play one that's kind of a big deal, and it's a trophy game, and there's people involved, and maybe Pat and I keep working on this, and we get to the point where it's at a neutral site in a bigger stadium or something like that. Like that really helps recruiting for both of us. So we're competing for recruits, but then also I think it helps us that you have this opportunity to do something above and beyond just the 10 games that you can play. So I'm excited for us being able to put this on, and hopefully the recruits have a good time here, and hopefully it continues to grow, and it'll only help us.
Coach Woolley?
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity, like you said. When you have like trophies or other traditions tied, into games and into programs, I think it just adds to the culture and the history. And this is in its infancy right now. I know that Coach Palazzo and I are both alums of our respective programs, and we have a lot of love for the alumni base and the history of those programs, and respect them a ton. And for us, hopefully years moving forward here, I mean, this is the second annual, but I already feel like it's getting a bunch of attention, and it's being received really well by both of our campuses and the general, greater New Jersey community. And this is just the beginning. So I was texting, the other day with Coach Palazzo about just a lot of the feel and a lot of the conversations I'm having. Just my gut tells me that we're really in the infancy of something pretty special here, and, really excited to continue to see this grow.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, Montclair, does it still have the ones? Do you guys still have one gigantic side on the stands? Is that how it is at Montclair State still?
Yeah. Our home side's, I guess, pretty big. I don't know. I think we play in some places that are bigger now, but
yeah.
It's pretty big, decent size.
So these guys got to get stuffed with those sandwiches, all the students. So when the Rowan and Montclair State fans are in the same exact realm, you don't got any fights that we got to look up at on Twitter or TikTok, because of the Breakfast Bowl. And I'm sure they will, by the way, with all the sandwiches that will be out there. I'm actually thinking I might have to drive up there and maybe at least tailgate and get myself a sandwich myself. It's a really, really cool tradition that you guys are starting. And I think that it's like going to go to a whole nother level. I'm curious if could you guys play at like a neutral site like Monmouth or something like you could? Okay.
I don't know if we would play at another university.
Right.
Pat and I have talked about maybe like smaller venues that are bigger, like the Red Bulls Arena. I forget what the name of it is. And then he's got the one down there, the Philly Union.
Okay.
So, yeah, those would be stuff we'd be interested in. I think right now,
or like a baseball stadium, maybe
soccer stadium.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm saying like something like one of those.
Look, I've talked about it,
like the Somerset Patriot Stadium or something like
Dave,
that.
I've talked. Well, yeah, but I've talked about it. I've talked about it for years. Well, since I got down here, because we have the Blue Claw Stadium down here, right?
Yeah,
why not turn that into for like a once a year type of venue, and pack that thing, right? Because and we look at some of these bowl games, right? Or just any some of the neutral site games where they go and they play in a baseball stadium or they play somewhere else, right? I mean, you're talking like Georgia, Florida always plays in Jacksonville, right? Like those things add juice to something that already has juice. And in regard to recruits and those types, look, you're looking to gain an edge any way you possibly can. And so now to be able to tell recruits like, hey man, like you're not only going to compete at a high level every week for the teams you play within our conference, but this one game, again, like Coach said, is something extra on top of it. You're playing for a trophy, right? And that stuff that matters. That last week of college football, that rivalry week where guys are in for whatever it trophy, right? The Paul Bunyan axe or whatever it is. It just adds something to the game itself where kids want to be a part of that, especially with this group, these kids now with social media and that type of stuff where all eyes, they want eyes on whatever it is that they're doing. This is something now that adds to all of that for both sides. Like we said, we want the entire, and I think it's great that you guys, embrace the rivalry, but you also embrace the network that is college football. And, you want both programs to do well because at the end of the day, regardless wins, losses, like we want our student athletes to be put in great situations to be successful on and off the field. And I think with that mindset in it, doing something like this adds to it. It allows both sides to kind of get into something, right? Parents will buy into this, right?
The
So to
regular
tap
student,
into something,
right?
Like to tap into something that
because those are both fun campuses. Montclair State, I mean, yes, they're fantastic institutions of higher learning. I get it, but they're both fun campuses as well. Montclair State and Rowan are great campuses that are a lot of fun. Not that I've ever been there before, but I'm just saying, they're great campuses. They really are. The students have a great time. And and I remember that as an old guy. The campuses were nowhere near what they are now. They're really have become universities, like towns within themselves.
Absolutely,
those schools, and I think that's really cool because it gives the students a big time football experience, which today a lot, most students are looking for some of those things, right? They want to go to games that are really exciting and they want to go to rivalry games. That's part of, I think now has become a huge part of the college experience for kids. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, who knows if they're learning anymore, but they want to have a good time. So they want to go and they want to go to a place like Montclair State.
They know how to work ChatGPT, so we're good.
Because they're great. No, they really are great campuses and they're little cities within themselves, which is part of the appeal for students going away. And I love how, by the way, over the years, your schools have both done this. They've gone from commuter schools, okay, to really universities where people look to go there to go away. And that's part of, for you guys, recruiting your own players, that you're as one of the sales pitches that you have to kids that can come in there, is that this is a place that is not a place that you go and you drive home after. You go and you live there, and that's a place that you go away to. Talk about like that part about the college experience for your players. I know that's been a thing, like over the last, I would say 10 to 15 years, that's become more and more of a thing at both of your guys' schools. I don't know, whoever wants to go first can chime in on that.
Yeah, Pat.
Yeah, just before I get into that, just throwing another venue out there into the universe. Me and Palazzo talked a lot about Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City.
I love that.
We want to get it there. I know Montclair played a game way back when.
Yes.
New Rocky Bowl, 1970.
Garden State Bowl.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily know the.
There we go.
One of the end zones will be like 8.5 yards or something like that, but it'd be an awesome venue. Obviously, the rest
we're okay with it
there, and it's cool. That's a homecoming for me as somebody who went to Atlantic City High School and is from down there, and it's a pretty cool venue. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as the schools overall, and like what the transformation's been. I mean, I graduated from here in 2012, and it's doubled in size, but you hit it on the head. I mean, obviously, with that many more students, you have some people that are local commuters, but pretty much all the houses that are around, our campus in, a 4 or 5 block radius in any direction, I would say 80% of them are, Rowan students that are just living off campus, right? And so on top of the in-person or the campus-owned housing that our students live in, a lot of the Glassboro community has really become, part of the Rowan campus as well, or continue to grow in that fashion. And yeah, it is part of the college experience, in my opinion. Do you get that full experience, whether that's your classroom learning, your extracurriculars, but then being able to live, away from home. And that's not everybody's circumstance. We have still a fair share of guys that are from within 20, 25 minutes of campus that commute for various reasons. And, but yeah, having that real, go away to college feel, this school, and I know certainly provides that. And I think that's something that really adds to your college experience, over those, for state school guys, maybe 6 years, of getting through your degree. So.
No doubt about it. Coach?
Yeah, it's one of the beauties of this rivalry. It's our campuses and our experiences are very similar. We're both massive. We bought Bloomfield College a couple years ago, so we're almost at 24,000 students here. So we're enormous. And Derek, when we went to school, there was probably like 1,300 residents at most, and we're up to almost 6,000.
Maybe.
So still a large commuter population. Obviously, you have graduate students and you have some of the Bloomfield students, but we have almost 6,000 right here on our campus. So it's part of the experience, and it's part of what we do here. And like Pat said, I think we play the game in recruiting of both sides of it, where we can sell that experience maybe to a South Jersey kid or a Shore Conference kid and have them come up here and really, live here and get all that. But the other side of it, we have so much talent right in our neighborhood that we can maybe give the best price to because they live close and they can commute. And we've had some really good players that, barely ever step foot on this campus besides class and practice. And that's okay too, because at the end of the day, maybe they're in a better financial situation. So, we've had both sides of it, but I think it's something that can work well for us if we know how to use it.
I think the other part too that adds to it for both of you is the investment by both of your presidents into not just this game, but just that in itself of wanting to have more students on campus or just grow in general, right? Like for the most part, to expand both universities, right, in terms of numbers and enrollment, like that takes a lot. That takes more buildings. That takes more. It's just across the board. Both of your presidents have bought into that, and we've seen both schools grow, not only in sheer numbers, but facility wise in general as well, right? So I like you guys had put in, you got new stands and things of that nature. And Mike, you were talking before we got on about, doing certain things to the one end zone, and just both of your campuses continue to grow and expand. I mean, shit, when I went to Montclair, everything that was a commuter parking lot is now a building, a dorm, or something, right? Like it's more than just a parking deck going up. I mean, there's investment within the schools themselves, facility wise, to kind of get to that next level of, hey, this is not high school weight room. This is a college weight room, or these are upper echelon facilities. And I think that on itself is another huge aspect that adds to this. And now with more eyes and getting more people on campus for a game like this, now you'll get more donors to like, they'll start to compare and contrast. And at the same time is, that people will now start to come off the field in terms of, we got to have a better weight room. And that works for both of you, because now you have people pouring money into it saying, all right, well, if we can be better than Rowan, and then it's all right, well, Montclair did this, we got to do this, right? Or it's back and forth. So talk about that a little bit, just kind of the advancement in the facilities for both of your places. Coach Rulli, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of in the works right now. We're actually in the next 2 weeks breaking ground on our new varsity weight room, and that's something that has been desperately needed over the years. We've been, working out of a shotgun closet for the last better part of quarter century, and guys have embraced, kind of embraced that, like, hey, we don't need the glitz and the glam. Like, we can get the work done in here. But obviously, this new space they're putting together, it's going to be a bigger facility, brand new equipment, and something that our guys can have pride in, training and working out in, and maybe have a little bit more variety in terms of how we can program from a strength and conditioning perspective, and we have obviously a brand new turf a year ago, and that's great. And yeah, we have a new athletic director who, came from Division I. He was at Rutgers as an associate AD, played for Greg Schiano there as a player, and then came back, as a deputy athletic director, and just started this past summer down here. And somebody who understands the value in college sports and in college football, and how that can really positively impact the overall experience for even the general student population, is certainly a welcome body on this campus, and as an ambassador for the program and the athletic department as a whole, just to continue to push it forward. And like Coach has said multiple times in this call, which I wholeheartedly believe in, is how do we maximize the student athlete experience over their 4 years? How do they feel like their time here was important and we cared for them? And when they walk across that stage, the fact that they played football at Rowan or at Montclair is something that they can't imagine having made another decision, and it was something that really positively impacted their life, and something that will stick with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, for us, I mean, as far as the campus, it's grown in the last 20 years. It's crazy. Our former president, Dr. Cole, really and we're pretty landlocked here. I know Rowan's got probably a little bit more room down there. We don't really have any empty space here. So like you said, all those parking lots have become buildings. All the old buildings have been renovated. And we're always looking to improve here in athletics. Probably the most recent thing is we got a brand new recovery room. We have an old classroom in this building that they turned over and put recliners and all kinds of fancy recovery stuff that they didn't have when we played. I don't know what it is, but flat screen TVs in there, and the guys really like it and spend a lot of time in there. We have another weight room kind of a secondary weight room that's built in the end zone that's with garage doors, so it kind of allows that indoor-outdoor type of workout, and also more space for programming, like Coach said. So we're always looking to improve, and we just got done pretty much. I'm hearing some of the stuff was getting quiet outside, so they're building a alumni viewing area. So if you're at the game tomorrow, Derek, I believe you're coming. You'll be able to be up there, and it's probably the best seat in the house because it's on that hill there, and you'll be able to see the game from a really good spot. So, again, enhancing the student experience, feeling great about your decision to come to Montclair or Rowan, like you, Coach, was saying. That's really important to me, definitely, and I'm always trying to push that issue with everybody above me.
No doubt. That's awesome stuff. Now let me take a look at both your offices, because they're both unique, completely different ways. So we got Coach. Is that the trophy, by the way? Oh wow, that's a great trophy, dude. That is a great trophy.
It was awesome.
That is
cool.
A great trophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Coach Balaz, when we do this next year, wants that on his desk instead of on your desk, right? So that's a great trophy, though. Wow, that's a great trophy. Is that a Cerberus in the background? What is that? You're painting on the wall there.
These are the wild dogs right here.
The wild dogs. Oh, okay, okay.
An African wild dog. This is something actually my cousin, who's an artist down in California. This is made out of metal. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, sheet metal. Shipped it across the country. Actually cost me more money to ship it than it did.
Yeah, hell yeah, to ship it. Yeah, we've been there.
But it was something that when I got my defensive coordinator job at Susquehanna, and that was kind of my culture. He painted that for me as a gift, and I've had it ever since, and it means a lot to me, and it's still a huge part of my culture now. So it's definitely something that is dear to my heart.
That's awesome. That's an awesome painting. And Coach Palaz, I see double Sam Mills jerseys over there as a reminder. Now, my question, and I think that's the monk you guys playing in your stadium in the back, in the middle there, is whose jersey is that on the right, number 62?
That was Sam's number here.
So we got triple Sam Mills. So we get Sam Mills. I love it. That's so awesome. Yeah. Sam Mills.
That one I inherited.
Listen, that's amazing that you have that jersey still.
Yeah, I know. It's like falling down in the frame because it's like such an old way to do that. I got to probably get it redone eventually, but it's actually got a plaque underneath with all his accomplishments when he was here. I think it was presented to maybe him at one point, because there's a picture floating around the office of him like getting that framed jersey at Hall of Fame, because he's in the College Football Hall of Fame as well as now the NFL Hall of Fame. So that's a pretty cool thing to have, is the jersey he actually wore.
That's unbelievable that he well, it's smart that he was able to get a hold of that and snag that on his way out, and then make sure you get it framed later on. That's awesome stuff. I know when I was playing, I was always trying to. You gave you one jersey, I was trying to snag the other one. Make sure I got the other. You know what I mean? You wanted the away jersey, you wanted your white jersey too, not just your color jersey from when you played. Guys, final thoughts, Coach Rulli?
Yeah, I mean, really appreciate the platform from you guys, and hopefully continue to elevate this game, and just really excited. And, we're obviously in the thick of things this season and about 24 hours away here from, kickoff in the second annual Breakfast Bowl. So really excited to get up to North Jersey and have a delicious pork roll sandwich in the morning. And then we'll walk after that and let may the best team win. But, really, really excited. And, obviously, again, want to thank Coach Palazzo, just for the collaboration on this and continuing to elevate the game and our programs together, in conjunction with that. And, looking to just have a great competitive 60 minutes tomorrow at Montclair, and hopefully have an amazing crowd and amazing turnout for their tailgate that they're putting on as well, which is phenomenal.
No doubt. Coach Palaz?
Well, actually, listen, I could say all the same things that Coach said, and I agree with everything he said, but I'll give you a quick tidbit, all right, because you mentioned it before. Do you know where that trophy came from? I'm gonna. Nobody knows this yet in the public, so I'll tell you where the trophy came from. In college, I had a friend that went to Rowan, and I went to a party at her house, and we were having a good time, and we said, we really like that pig on the wall, and we stole the pig, and it ended up being in my dorm room. It held my door open in Bone Hall over here. And then it just kind of landed in my mom's garage and just kind of was there. And when my mom sold the house down in Toms River, and I already started cooking up this idea, and I was like, wow, this could be like a trophy for the Breakfast Bowl, because both our mascots have wings. It's a pig, ties all in. So that trophy actually was stolen from a Rowan person. And now is the trophy. That person probably has no idea we're talking about. But now it's a trophy for two major universities in the state of New Jersey. So I think that ties in well with the D3 trophies. And Pat, I don't even know if you know that whole story, but
I didn't, and I appreciate your discretion and maybe sticky hands back in the day. So now we can have a
now we have it. Yep.
For years to come.
You might have went to school with the girl.
I was gonna say this pig looked familiar.
Oh, that's
there's a little history. That is exclusive to this podcast right here.
That's exclusive info. That has to be cut, fade into a short.
That's what we do here. We are on the cutting edge. We are breaking news here for the Breakfast Bowl. Listen, appreciate both of you guys. Real glad for you guys giving us the opportunity to kind of talk about this and make it into something and be part of that process of growing this thing for both universities, because obviously, for us in kind of where we're both at, whether it be, our club team or, where we coach and just our area in general is a huge recruiting ground for both of your schools. And a lot of our players, we have guys on both sides of this rivalry in terms of guys that we've coached and whatnot. And both of them enjoy, a lot of them, they really, sing the praises of both of you as head coaches, not only for the football aspect of it, but what you guys do off the field for them as well, which I think in this day and age is only more so in a microscope of, how people treat players. And that goes to guys that chose opposite schools. There's never a guy that has anything bad to say about either one of you or your programs in general, other than probably tomorrow when you guys dial it up and smash each other for 60 minutes. So we appreciate you guys taking the time. Best of luck to both of you. I will be in attendance. This will be my second. Obviously, I'll be there for the second time. You have a lot to live up to there, Coach Palaz, because Rowan did a hell of a job last year with the whole, atmosphere and whatnot. So, but I look forward to experiencing it both. Good luck to both of you. We appreciate it. Anything we can do for you guys, let us know.
Thank you.
No doubt. Derek takes some great pictures, and when
course.
when you're there. And if you guys from your games, if you have any pictures you want to share with Derek after the game, you know what I mean? Like I'll post it on our YouTube, where you could like put updates and stuff like that, and I'll post it on Twitter, whatever, you know what I mean, or tweet, whatever. We're glad to post all that stuff because we want to continue to help promote this. It's a great event, and it's a great opportunity for both programs. So it's awesome stuff.
Thanks, guys.
All right, have a great day.
Good luck, fellas. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate it.
All right, till next time.
Always like with